What is going on, everybody? I want to do this video today to talk about those times in life where things aren't going good. I guess you can call them your rock bottom moments, right? Maybe you've gone through it, you're going through it, or maybe you'll go through it someday. I don't know if everybody goes through rock bottom or has a rock bottom moment, but it's a pretty common thing a lot of men go through. And rock bottom looks different to everybody, right? Like your rock bottom moment may be different than mine, vice versa. It may be, comparatively worse or not so bad, but worst thing you've ever gone through, ever will go through, things like that. And I just kind of wanted to ponder on that a little bit, talk about it, see what I can kind of come up with, and ask some questions about it, talk about where do we go from there, and maybe why going through rock bottom, obviously depending on what it is, may not always be such a bad thing, because you can learn from it and grow through it, right? And like I said, there's different levels to this stuff. Some people kind of seem like they coast through life and they tell you like the worst thing that ever happened to them, and it's, well, everybody goes through that, or that doesn't sound so bad compared to what this guy went through, etc. Like we all go through hardships, we all go through loss, we all deal with trauma in some way, shape, or form. Like, it's inevitable, probably for 99% of us, you're going to lose somebody, a loved one, your parents, or something like that. Some people, God forbid, lose, a wife or a child or something like that. Those are moments that can be considered rock bottom moments, and they're devastating. For some guys, they might lose a job, a career, some kind of financial business goes under, some kind of financial devastation or something like that. Some people, it's completely self-inflicted. A lot of times it's self-inflicted. You made a bad decision, a bad mistake. You had a stupid moment where you made a bad choice and lost your family, or committed a crime, or who knows what, or acted out of desperation. And I think most people will tell you they're pretty logical and they make good decisions and blah, blah, blah. Me included. I sit there and tell you I do reasonably well, but we all have emotions that we act on. We all have moments of poor judgment, things like that can lead to you making a mistake. You will make mistakes. That's an inevitable part of life. It's how you get through life. It's a series of making mistakes and hopefully learning from them and getting better. And then there's these moments that can hit you like a ton of bricks when you weren't expecting it, and it's completely out of your control. Like I said, the loss of a loved one, unforeseen financial crisis, like caused by the government or something like that. You think about, during the COVID times, and suddenly nobody can go anywhere anymore and businesses are getting shut down. A lot of businesses couldn't survive that, things like that. Some kind of financial deal, new government policy or something like that. I was reading a thing the other day. I used to live in Colorado, and they're enacting a new law or something where pet stores can't sell puppies and cats anymore. And I know there's a pet store that I know in Colorado Springs where like 90% of their business comes from selling puppies, and they've been there forever. I moved there in 2011, 2012, something like that, and they were still operating when I left there in 2024. And I mean, they're one of the most well-known pet stores in the area, and they posted a thing, they're probably done. Their business is done, because that's their whole business model, is selling puppies and cats and stuff, and that's probably going to lead to the end of their business, their whole operation. So, you think about things like that, and it's something completely out of their control. You know, they leaned hard in one area, made their whole business about it, that certain niche or whatever, and the government can enact a rule at any time or a law or whatever, and now you're done. You're cooked, right? That's a tough moment. That's a tough thing. You gotta figure something else out now. But you know, depending on the situation, it's something. I've been through a couple moments in my life that I guess could be considered rock bottom moments. One of them completely self-inflicted. The other one, I mean, I definitely made choices in life that led up to it. Choices that, you know, a lot of reasonable people have made. You know, it was all military affected stuff. But I won't go into too much detail. And I wrote a Substack article that I'll link down below, where I kind of go more into detail on it. You know, I joined the military when I was a kid, basically, for all intents and purposes. And you know, one day you find yourself, as you should expect, joining the military and possibly in a war zone. You know, it's kind of what they remind you of that 100,000 times when you're signing up for it. The possibility of this could happen, you know. And sure enough, I ended up there, and you know, you end up in a war zone. War stuff happens that affects you and sticks with you and you carry through life. And dealing with the aftermath of that kind of put me in a dark place for a little bit, for a period of time in my life. Sometimes it's stuff you never really get over, you know what I mean? And but you have to kind of find ways to come to grips with things that happen in your life and work through them as part of a growing process. Some guys never do, and some guys do. But the one I want to talk about specifically, completely 100% self-afflicted rock bottom moment for me, was in regard to me when I got out, letting myself go, which I definitely did. Made a lot of got lazy, got out. I don't have to PT anymore. I don't have to watch. I don't have to do weigh-ins and fitness assessments and uphold a standard anymore. I can kind of relax a little bit and don't have to worry about, you know, my weight so much and things like that. And it's a pretty common thing for a lot of guys when they get out to kind of do that. Hey, I don't have to run anymore. I don't have to shave anymore. Not to mention your body might be beat down or whatever it is. And you kind of let things that you used to have to keep a firm grip on, you kind of get lax with them. And it's pretty easy, not acceptable, but it's pretty easy to let those things spiral out of control. And I definitely did that. You know, I'm the first person to look myself in the mirror and tell myself, hey, you know, you fucked up pretty bad, man. You know, one day you look at yourself in the mirror, you've been out a couple years, and it's like, holy shit, I'm a fat fuck now. Wow, how did this happen? You know, just years of bad choices and stuff like that. And then maybe you do something about it in that moment. Maybe you don't. I went through periods of, I need to get my weight under control. Holy shit, this is unacceptable. And I would do all right for a little bit. And then I'd kind of, you know, oh, you know what, I'll have this beer, this meal, whatever. And then next thing you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months has gone by, and you've gained all the weight back that you lost and things. And it's a vicious cycle that a lot of us end up in, completely through fault of our own. You know, you get complacent and you get lax, and you kind of just end up at a point you don't want to be. And I got there. It got pretty bad. I gained a lot of weight. You know, never quite saw a 3 in front of my weight, but I wasn't too far off from it. And that was one thing, that was my point. I was like, it could be very reasonably foreseen that I would end up with a 3 in front of my weight within the next 6 months if I didn't do something. For reference, I'm 6'2", so that's a shitload of weight. That's heavy. 6'2", 300 pounds. You're talking NFL offensive lineman weight without the athleticism that comes with it. You know, the gifted genetics and all that comes with that. And it's like, this is not good. This is not what I want to be. So, you know, I had some medical stuff come up with that. I ended up having some pretty bad like chest pains and things like that I was like, oh my God, am I having gonna have a heart attack and all this kind of stuff. Put me in a really dark place. Turned out to just be like crippling acid reflux or indigestion that I'd never dealt with that before. And you might laugh, I laughed at it when it was over with because I thought I was having a heart attack, but it was like debilitating pain. It dropped me to my knees in the shower one morning, and I ended up going to the hospital thinking something was really wrong, and the doctor kind of laughed at me about it. Once again, I go in greater detail in my Substack essay that I wrote. But so he just basically told me, he flat out told me, gave me the no BS, here's the deal, you need to lose weight and start working out and get your ass back in shape. At this point, I'd been out for about 6 years. And I took it to heart, man. I was like, I don't want to go through this anymore. I don't want to deal with this. I'm not going to be that fat ass looking at myself in the mirror, not respecting myself. And I don't know, you can't control what people think about you also. I'm sure people saw me and look at this guy, you know what I mean? Look at this fat slob or whatever, What kind of example was I setting for my kids? That was a huge thing that really kind of bottomed me out. I was like, my kids have a fat dad, man. Like, I couldn't keep up with them. I had two, young entering high school boys at the time that I wanted to do things with and go out and be active. And I was definitely that guy huffing and puffing around, trying to go to, outdoor areas, national parks, things like that. Colorado was awesome for all that kind of stuff. And here I am trying to hike around mountains and stuff and losing my breath and everything. And I just got fed up. And it was definitely a rock bottom moment, that was completely self-inflicted. Like I say, I take full 100% ownership that I fucked up and put myself in that position. So I immediately that day, leaving the hospital, swore to myself, like, it's over. You're done. You're gonna climb your way out of this. You're no bullshit, no cheats, no nothing like that. No screwing around. You're gonna start losing weight. You're gonna start eating. Find a diet that works for you, which I did. I went to a carnivore diet and it worked great for me, and I know a lot of people have thoughts on that and maybe agree or disagree. It's what I did and I don't care. It worked, and I lost like 60 pounds right off the rip that year. I ended up reaching 100 pounds total weight loss, and now I'm kind of still building back up from that. But to me, 100 pounds weight loss was something I really wanted to do. I hadn't been under, I don't think, 200 to 215 since like high school. And it was kind of uncomfortable getting under that even. Getting down to 185, which is my lowest weight I ever reached. That's what I really wanted to do, was just say I lost 100 pounds, just to say it and see what it looked like. I'm glad I did it. 100. Conversely, going from seeing like close to seeing a 3 was uncomfortable. Seeing a 1 in front of my weight was really, really fucking uncomfortable. But I'll take the 1 over the 3 any day. And like I said, I'm glad I did it. But I digress. But the point is, I hit this rock bottom moment, and instead of feeling sorry for myself and playing woe is me and things like that, I gave myself an ultimatum right there, like, you're gonna do this, or you're not worth a shit, I guess. I don't know. I can't remember the exact conversation I had with myself. It was brutal. It wasn't probably the most positive self-talk you've ever heard in your life. But I was fed up with myself. I was fed up with the way I had treated my body. I was fed up with creating this perception that I'm sure people had of myself. It was totally my fault. Tired of setting a poor example for my family. And just tired of abusing myself. Taking years off my life for what? For delicious food, a few hits of dopamine, things like that. lot of growth along the way, a lot of things that I had to do to climb out of it. I had to give up a lot of things I love, sweet foods, alcohol, things like that. But over time, I don't miss those things, and I've gotten to a place, and that's not to say I didn't have hiccups along the way, and you learn from those. You do. Okay, what was, you know how it is when you're on track and you're doing really good, and you have one day where you kind of screw up or whatever, you have a cheat kind of meal or whatever, and then you beat yourself up about it after, and then it doesn't make sense. Then we kind of spiral out of control. Well, I already fucked up, might as well keep fucking up, right? But to me, it was beat myself up and then look at the big picture and be like, okay, I had one cheat meal. I probably did minimal damage. It's not like I gained 10 pounds off of one meal, even if you do see the scale goes up. It's just water weight, glycogen, things like that. You get back on track, you lose that weight right away is typically how it goes. So you can't really be too hard on yourself about one meal. Okay, but then what was the moment of weakness that led me there? What's the lesson learned? What do I get out of this? How do I grow from my mistake? And that was the big thing. Okay, this situation put me in that, or not being able to set boundaries with people and say, no, you know what? Because a lot of people will try to, oh, dude, come on, it's just one. It's just one. I went through that this weekend with some people, and I've been doing this for 6 years now, pretty strict. And, I'm a lot better now at setting boundaries and being able to say a hard no. Do I love certain things? Do I love eating it? Do I love the way they taste and stuff? Absolutely. But I love where I'm at in life now more. I love the way I feel. I love the way I look. I love how active I am. I love being able to walk in a room and, call this whatever you want. But there's something about walking in the room and being the guy that's in shape in the room. It's kind of nice and things like that. So you have to understand what's more important to you. And I think this lesson can kind of be translated across a lot of different rock bottom moments. I know there are some, this doesn't, for some of you listening to this and you're going through a tough time and having your rock bottom moment, this sounds like a walk in the park compared to that. And, my heart goes out to you, There's devastating stuff that happens to people every day, and I'm not discounting that in any way. I can only tell you what I've gone through, and I know my story is not as hardcore, not as devastating as what a lot of you have gone through or do go through. But my whole point is when you do hit that moment, what can you learn from it? What can you learn about yourself? I guarantee if you keep going and you keep your head up and you keep busting your ass and doing work and you keep trying to get better and keep trying to fix whatever problems you're having, you can learn a lot of lessons from it. You'll learn a lot about yourself. You'll really learn what you're made of. You'll learn how tough you are. You build these scars and you build this plate of armor on your body, and mentally and physically. And there's a lot of value in that. You got to learn to take a lot of value from these kind of moments, these bottomed out, everything sucks, my world is falling apart moments that are going to inevitably hit you. How can I be a better man because of this? I got to take in my life what I have left, and I have to make something out of it, and I got to keep pushing, because I don't care who you are. There are people out there who care about you and who depend on you. And in some cases, you may not even have met these people yet when you feel like giving up. And I got nobody, and my back's against the wall, and it's just me against the world. There are important people in your life that you have not even met yet. In a lot of cases, in most everybody's cases, there is an opportunity for you in the future to find someone to spend your life with if you don't have that already. Or there may be a moment down the road where you went through struggle and you went through adversity and life absolutely kicked you in the face, and you're going to meet another person who's going through something similar, and you can help that person, and you can help them get through what they're going through because you lived it and you fought through it and you battled back and you took that belt to the ass, you put your face in the fan and you did the work and you got better, and they can too. And saving one person's life is completely worth it. It's worth a lot of the pain you go through. I've helped numerous people. That's the whole point of my channel, is trying to help people get better, help men specifically get better, keep their heads up, keep strong, learn lessons from what they're going through, and just do the fucking work to get better. That's really what it's all about. That's become the mantra of my life, is just doing the work, man. Just keep doing the work, keep going strong. Life is going to kick my ass. Life is hardship after hardship, kick to the nuts after kick to the nuts, with little happy moments sparse through it. That's what most of life is. It's battling through adversity to enjoy the little things. So you got to keep that stuff in mind, and don't take those good moments for granted when they're here, and live in that moment, and then be ready for the next battle, because it's one battle after another. And that's okay, because the more you go through it, the more you learn how to solve these problems, the more you learn about yourself, and the more you learn how to battle back, you can eventually get through everything. So whatever anybody's going through, man, keep working, keep fighting, keep growing. Make that change today. If you see, I got to make this change, look yourself in the mirror, see what it is. I got a lot of great content coming up. Try to get back into this and keep it going, and keep trying to impart the wisdom that I do have, and hopefully help you guys out, help anybody out, and help myself out. Saying it, reinforces a lot of this stuff back to me, and that's basically what I want. Like I said, I'll leave some links down below. Hit that Substack article if you want to read a little deeper. I'm a hell of a lot better writer than I am a speaker. And I will catch you guys in the next video coming soon. Till then, peace.